lovely people, my name is Emma and today I'm bringing you a 360 book review for the book The Six by Loren Grush. This is where I take a book and try and give you a 360 view of it in 360 seconds or less. So The Six is a non-fiction biography piece. It's basically a history of the first 6 women astronauts who went into space with NASA's program, so specifically American astronauts, because Russia did beat America to it and get a woman in space first, but this is looking at specifically the 6 female American astronauts. So this is an incredible look at their lives, looking at what careers were they having before they applied for the astronaut program, the process of applying and the deliberation process involved with picking them, their training, and then for each one of them the various flights that they went on. It goes all the way, like I said, from the beginning, their pre-astronaut careers, up until the Challenger disaster, which, spoiler alert if you are unaware, the second woman who went into space, I cannot remember her name right now, she does indeed die. She was on the Challenger explosion. That is not her time going into space. She'd been in space before then, but she was one of the astronauts who was on board Challenger when it exploded. And it does look at the ramifications for NASA through the Challenger explosion and how NASA as an entity and sort of a government office had changed over the years based on sort of pressures from other government forces and kind of the kind of energy and zeitgeist of the American public at the time, because you have like your space race very much sort of driven with the Cold War, and then the sort of passion around space starts to sort of deteriorate, and sort of the questions about whether we need to be doing it or not, and it definitely becomes a lot more mundane and commonplace and really pushing for it to become this routine thing that we run launches for all the time, which completely removes how absolutely insane it is that we're able to go to space in the first place. And so sort of the look at how that impacted corporate decision making within NASA and sort of knock-on effects for recruitment, and also things like controls and safety, looking at Challenger. I do think that this is a wonderfully researched book. It sort of has a lovely pace to it, and I think that she interweaves the various lives of the 6 women in a very smooth way. I don't feel like any one woman was given more time than the others. It would be very easy to really focus on like the first woman, Sally Ride, but instead it's really nicely interwoven between all 6 who were in the same kind of astronaut class as such at the same time, and equal opportunities given to all of them. It also has some really interesting conversations about obviously sexism within NASA, things to do with how the suits were made like standardly for men and the problems that were connected with that, and then also looking at race issues with NASA, because it wasn't just men who were going up there, but it was more specifically white guys who were doing everything. So having a look at who were the first black men who went to space, or did anyone go to the moon? No, it was just space. And also sort of branching out from that to other ethnicities, and then, you know, when was the first black woman and things like that. And it is definitely got an interesting look at the very end of what is NASA currently doing now, looking at a focus on non-manned missions, but also some of the manned missions that we still have going on and things connected to the space station and stuff like that, and sort of the frontier being Mars now. So very interesting, and a conversation about commercial spaceflight, because that is definitely in the mix. Elon, we've got our eyes on you. You're doing, frankly, some crazy things. So how is that interplaying with NASA, and how is that going to change the game for space travel later down the line? So like I said, incredibly well researched, but really has a lovely flow to it, a lovely blend of the personal and the public, and a look at as well the sort of media storm for these women and the various things that they had to experience. I do think this is a perfect book if you like things like Queens of Animation or Hidden Figures, if you have an interest in space but also an interest in women who have been underrepresented throughout history. This is going to be an absolutely perfect book for you. And just generally sort of that like history of society and like history of kind of zeitgeist and ideas, I think that this is a really interesting snapshot about what was important in America at that time. So this has been my review for The Six. Do let me know in the comments down below, have you read it, and do you have any other recommendations of books in this area that you'd like to check out? Oh, it also does talk about the American-Russian sort of relationship, because you've obviously got the space race, but then it sort of continued after that, even after the sort of public focus had been on it, and there's some really lovely interactions between the Russian astronauts and the American astronauts, and sort of the way that they were a little bit pawns in a grander scheme, grander fight, but the way that they didn't really take any of that too personally. So yeah, definitely very enjoyable inter-country kind of personnel relationships. So that was really fun to read. So anyway, like I said, that's it. That's what I think to the book. Fantastic read and totally worth it if you like history at all. Have a wonderful reading week and I'll chat to you soon. Bye.